Pittsburgh Steelers rookie quarterback Will Howard says that so far, Big Ben Roethlisberger has been a great mentor to him, texting him and learning what Pittsburgh Steelers football and grittiness is all about through him. But first, before I get more into what he said, however, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, going all the way back, even before the NFL draft, Big Ben on his podcast was naming some of the top quarterbacks that he's seen in this year's draft class, and Will Howard was at the top of his list. One of the guys straight from the beginning that Big Ben liked coming out the draft, based off his big arm, but also ability to run the football. And now he was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 6th round. And what does that mean? Well, it means that Big Ben gets to see what Will Howard's all about up close and personal in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform, and see what he thought about him before the draft come true after the draft and in real NFL games. So, Big Ben went on his podcast, gave some advice to Will Howard, and then a few weeks later invited Will onto his podcast, brought him into his home, talked football and life with him. And since that little meeting that he had with Ben, apparently, per Will Howard, Ben has been texting him and has been a great mentor to him so far. Because on an interview recently done a few days ago with Kay Adams, Will said that he and Ben are really close and basically he's been a mentor to him thus far. Here's the quote. "We actually have the same agent, so we got connected through that. He's been really good. He's been super supportive of me through this whole process. I didn't talk to him before becoming a Steeler, but throughout now being a Steeler, getting to know him, he's been really helpful for me. Texting me, checking in last week, just been a really good mentor. I can see him being a really good mentor for me going forward. And he's been super nice to me so far." End quote. So, just from that quote alone, it's really good to hear, because Will Howard is a rookie, and he's getting advice from the best Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback of all time. And he's learning the Pittsburgh Steelers way of grittiness at the quarterback position, just like Ben brought to the game. And that's what we need back in Pittsburgh. So getting that back at the quarterback spot can be huge for us if Will Howard ends up being the quarterback that some of us expect him to be. Even if he's a 6th round pick, we expect great things from him. So learning from Ben is a good thing. And this is very interesting too, because the big thing with Big Ben has been that he's not a good mentor. He doesn't want to see the next Steelers quarterback succeed. And that's what his whole persona and characteristics have been, based off the Mason Rudolph situation years back when the Steelers drafted Mason Rudolph, and he didn't want them to draft Mason. He wanted a different player because he actually wanted them to help win football games right then and there for that season. And many people took that the wrong way. They wanted Big Ben wanting a player that could help the offense and not someone who could help maybe 5 years down the road. They took it as a bad thing. But if you really look into it, it wasn't a bad thing, because Ben wanted a player who could help now. But anyway, that was the whole thing with Mason Rudolph, saying that he's a bad mentor to him and that he doesn't want to see him succeed. And that has been a whole thing about Ben his entire career. The next guy up in the quarterback room, he doesn't want it to happen. Well, that narrative has changed, because now Will Howard says that Big Ben is texting him and he's trying to be a mentor to him, and he wants him to be a mentor to him. So that's a really good thing for Pittsburgh, and it seems as though that has changed with Ben. And even going back a couple years ago, when Kenny Pickett, yes, Kenny Pickett, was drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know we want to forget about that name, but when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben did the same thing. Texted him, brought him on to the podcast, and kind of tried to help him a little bit. It didn't really work out. Obviously, with Matt Canada and this whole offense just not being good, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. Even though it was a 1st round quarterback, it didn't work out. Hopefully now, though, Big Ben doing the same thing now with Will Howard works out. So he has turned a new leaf in terms of helping the next quarterback up. I guess because he's retired now, he doesn't have to fight for a job with the backup quarterback who they're trying to draft as his replacement. And he's not worried about that no more. And he could actually help develop a quarterback or actually help be a mentor to a quarterback. He's turned a new leaf. But helping Will Howard is a really great thing for Pittsburgh Steelers fans and just his organization as a whole. And to be quite honest with you, you heard Big Ben say not too long ago that if the Pittsburgh Steelers asked them to do some scouting here and there and help in a quarterback situation or help out for the team, that he would be willing to do it. So now that Will Howard kind of wants him to do it, I guess Big Ben also said, okay, let's help. Let's do this thing. And also when you look at this, when you look at Will Howard compared to Big Ben, their characteristics are the same in terms of what they do in the football field and how they play, their size and their strength and everything like that. Will Howard's just basically the same height as Ben, maybe like 1 inch smaller, 6'4" to 6'5". And then you look at the weight, it's basically the same. And you look at the way they play as well. Big Ben was that strong arm quarterback, someone who could extend the plays. Will Howard can do that too. And also when you look at Will, he may be faster than Ben. Ben already said this in his podcast, that Will Howard actually uses his legs more and does more things in that area than Ben did. So when you look at it, comparing the two quarterbacks on the football field, you can see why Ben would want to mentor a quarterback like that. Because mentoring Will is like looking at a younger version of himself in terms of the way they play. And also, when you look at maybe why it didn't work out with Kenny Pickett, because Kenny Pickett was nothing the same as what Ben was in terms of how they played and their play style. So helping a quarterback like that is harder when you're used to playing it a certain way for 20 plus years. And Will Howard playing it somewhat the same way. Obviously not exactly like Ben, but somewhat the same way may be easier. So you can see why Ben would want to help Will Howard. Because maybe he sees a younger version of himself in terms of the play style in the way Will Howard plays. And if he could develop the way that Ben developed, it could be huge for this team. Because Ben came in, even though he was a first round pick, and he was expected to be the guy. He came in as a backup. Someone backing up a quarterback, and when they got injured, he was ready. Did all little things in practice to stay ready and be ready for his time was called. And that's what he did. Took full advantage of it, leading the Pittsburgh Steelers to victory and all the way deep in the playoffs in his rookie season, and having one of the best rookie seasons in NFL history. So staying ready, doing all the little things, Big Ben has already gave that advice to Will on his podcast and just in the open, in the public, saying do all the little things to be ready. So if Will Howard could be ready for what his number is called and do the same things Ben did his rookie season, then he's in good hands. Because we've already seen the advice that Ben gave Will in the public. Now imagine behind doors how much more he could learn from Ben. So that's a big narrative going along right now. The last few days, Will Howard openly said that he wants Ben to be his mentor and that he's been a great mentor to him this far, texting him and doing all the little stuff. So with that being said, that's the end of this video. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on this. How do you feel about Big Ben mentoring Will Howard? Do you like to see Big Ben doing that? Or do you want it just to be left to the Pittsburgh Steelers football staff, coaching staff, and things of that nature, and you don't want Ben to step in? Or would you want Ben to step in and kind of help? To me personally, I like it because we've seen the Pittsburgh Steelers not be able to really do anything with quarterbacks recently. Ever since Big Ben left, the system just has been terrible. Kenny Pickett, you look at Mitchell Trubisky coming in, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, all that didn't work out. So if someone else brand new who could come in, who's done it at a high level, Hall of Famer, for 20 plus years, and someone who's done it at a high level, if he could come in and help, sure, why not? Obviously the Steelers need it at that position group. So I think it's a good thing. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis, reports, everything surrounding this team. I've covered it this far this offseason. Every rumor, every new player, every new addition. So make sure you check that out on the channel. And also stay tuned for camp here shortly and everything else covering this football team. This is the best spot for everything Pittsburgh Steelers football. So subscribe to the channel, turn notifications, like the video. And once again, that's it for me. But until the next video, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.